So let's take a look at the concept of stashing. You may have heard of it already, you may not. I would describe it as similar to shelving, which is something that you may have come across in another source control system. But in simple terms, stashing is a way for you to temporarily store some uncommitted changes so that you can do operations while they're stashed. Let's take a look at some cases where stashing can help you. In order to demonstrate stashing, I've created a local repository. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. There's nothing here. All we need to do is go ahead and open up Explorer. We're going to go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to go ahead and call it local change file. We're going to go ahead and make sure we make some changes here. Now that we've got those, let's go ahead and commit them. Now I'm going to jump on the server and make some other changes, and we're going to see how another developer's work. In this case I'm going to use the same account, but we'll pretend it's another developer. And we're going to see how we can avoid some changes that they send down to us. So on the server, I went ahead and I created a README file. Let's make sure that we don't run into any problems when we have our own local changes. So I'm going to go ahead and make another change locally. So now I've got some uncommitted changes. That presents a little bit of a problem. The problem that it creates is that I cannot pull down the changes from the server while I've got local commits. So let's imagine that I've got these changes, they're not complete, but I want to make sure that I pull down someone else's changes first. So what I need to do is I don't want to commit them, because if I commit them, then I've committed some code that's not really ready to go. I want to go ahead and stash these somewhere so that I can just save them and come back to them. If you'll notice, in GitHub for Windows, I can discard changes or open containing folder, but I don't really have a way to stash these anywhere. So what I need to do, and GitHub for Windows makes this really easy, is I need to jump to the command line. Let's go ahead and jump to the command line now. So now that I'm in the command line, I can go ahead and stash my changes. So now I've stashed my changes. You'll notice that on the command line, it changed a little bit. It had the +0, -1, and then -0, which meant I'd changed one file. Now that's all gone because it went ahead and it stashed these local changes I had for me. So now let's go back to GitHub for Windows for a second. And you'll see that I no longer have any committed changes, and I'm now able to click sync. It doesn't actually let you sync while you have uncommitted changes. So now I need to go get those changes back. We're just going to go ahead and look at the simple example. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the command line back up so we can get our changes back. So when we do this, we end up with our stash has been saved in a local spot, and we're able to get it back. Now, the operation that we need to do to get it back is called a pop. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pop our change back off, and it's going to take the most recently stashed thing and reapply it over the working directory that we're using. So I'm going to go ahead and git stash pop here. So now that it does that, it goes ahead and takes those files, and I now have my changes back. So let's go ahead and close the command line. And you'll see that my uncommitted changes are here again. So I was able to do that even though normally you can't pull while you have uncommitted changes, which is just for some concerns that Git actually has when it's running. So I'm going to go ahead and commit these now. And then I can sync that back up. And that's how we can use stashing so that when we have local changes, we can still bring in someone else's code. And that's one nice way to avoid difficulties there.